Core here. As always, this is not financial advice. This is all for entertainment purposes only. And yeah, it's been a while. So missed you guys too. It's been a good day. It's Wednesday, July 20th, and we are good to go. We had a hell of a rally the last couple days, and will it continue? I don't know, but let's dig into it and find out. So as you can see from the account here, the public account, it's been a good couple days. We're up over 21,000 again. We were up over $1,200 today, and a lot of that is due to TARK, TARK, which is a double leveraged ETF of the ARK fund. And that was up almost 10% today. At one point was up over like 12%, and we were up roughly $1,000 in it today. Oh no, not this. Palantir, we were up almost $1,000 in because we have a very large position in Palantir, about 1,200 shares. Um, yeah, it was nuts. I mean, between that and Coinbase shot up, and it was up over 14% at one point today. It still finished up over 11%. Um, Sadly, I sold out of some shares to get rid of margin. Otherwise, I'd have a lot more hefty gains today. But such is life. I was never margin called. I did all the margin removal of my own accord because with the interest rates rising and such, I mean, you're looking at in an account like this, well above 10% for margin, and I feel like it's a better option if you have margin to get rid of your margin at 10% because that's 10% coming out of your pocket. You have to beat a 10% earnings. I mean, yeah, today we're up 6%, so it seems like it's easy peasy to beat a 10% over the course of, annually. But, you know, I'd rather not have to pay 10% annually of my gains, so I got out of margin. And you should too if you're in margin. Yeah, that's basically it. And this other so there a couple stocks you guys may not know that I'm in. Unity Software I've been in for a while. Uh Bought it when it was around $35 and we were up today about $4, so that's nice. Up about $90 today. Great, because we only have 20 shares. Wish I had more. But again, margin being what it is. Tattooed Chef up 29 cents today, 500 shares. It's up 4.5%. Super great. And then this one, I'm actually was the only thing really that was down today besides Avant Brands for me. And this is Symbotic Inc. And these are the people that make like robots for like restaurants and things. Like your McDonald's, like the people. This is the company that's going to replace like the burger flipping. Um, I bought 10 shares when it was around like $15. About another 10 shares today while it was down. My average cost looks like it's somewhere in the neighborhood of just under $17. I plan on buying more of this, hopefully more than 10 shares at a time. But money is money, and when you get paid, to get paid. So I plan on increasing my position in this one because I believe that this is one of those future plays where this is going to be a company that just takes off. And honestly, if you think about it, if they keep raising minimum wage, a lot of these companies, whether it be a Burger King, McDonald's, a Taco Bell, they're going to just put in those order kiosks where you pick everything you want on a thing. It goes to the computer out back. The computer program tells these robotic arms or whatever, or conveyor belts, like, okay, we need this, 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 pop them in. Or flip the burger, add these things. And the only employee in that store is going to be like a cross between like a some type of electrical engineer to make sure the robots don't fail and customer service, or maybe there'll be two, I don't know, but it's not going to be a full staff of minimum wage because if one of these robots costs me $100,000 and I need three of them, that's $300,000 over the course of a couple of years. They'll pay for themselves. So really the only thing I'm going to have left is that basically, either a software engineer, electrical engineer that will service those robots for $100,000 a year, and that's going to be my only cost. And these things will pay for themselves, no problem. Versus paying five employees, roughly, $15 to $17 an hour to do all this work that they can do. And I mean, I show you some quick math on that. Let's do this. So you have to have, let's say, a bare minimum five employees to run the restaurant, and let's say it's 15 per hour, and you have hours from, let's say you're doing breakfast or something. So like Taco Bell does breakfast, Wendy's does breakfast, Burger King does breakfast, McDonald's does breakfast. So let's say you're doing breakfast from 6 in the morning, and you don't close until, let's make this as nice as possible for, the low cost side. So let's say they close at 10 o'clock. So from 6 to noon is 6 hours, plus noon to 10 is another 10. So that's 16 hours of operation. So 16 hours of operation Monday through Friday. That's, roughly that 240. That's okay. I've done something wrong here. So we've got 16 hours a day times five employees times $15 per an employee, plus that's $1,200 a day. That multiplied over the course of a week, so 7 days, is 8,400 bucks. Now let's say that you're closed down for, or you're whatever, for maintenance, what have you, for 2 weeks out of the year, which I don't know any McDonald's is closed for 2 weeks out of the year, but let's give them the benefit of the doubt. So this times 50 weeks. In 1 year, three machines have paid for themselves plus an extra $120,000. And that doesn't include any benefits or dental or anything else. Like, I mean, you're paying not just that $15 as an employer, you're also paying half the Social Security, you're paying insurance on these people. There's all sorts of things you have to do when you have employees that aren't incorporated in that $15. When someone employs you for $15 an hour, it's costing them closer to like that $20 to $22 range. So really, these things are saving you so much money, it's ridiculous. And so that's why I think that honestly, over the course of the next decade, this company will do very well. And I will continue to add to it until it hits a certain price point, which I've got to do a little more research in it to decide that price point. But honestly, I feel like this is the wave of the future and that you will not see as many employees at your local drive-throughs. It's coming. It's coming fast. And keep in mind that $420,000, that is the low end. That's saying that there's 2 weeks off. There's only five employees. That's like two cooks, two upfront people, and one manager. I mean, it's probably more than that. If you've ever looked out back of like a Wendy's or something when they're preparing your food, there's usually three or four people out back doing work. There's a drive-through person, one or two drive-through people, one collecting money, one delivering food, and then there's the two front people. You're closer to like 7 or 8 employees. So it costs a lot to run a business. But yeah, so that's that. That's why I've done that. One share of the S&P 500 ETF SPY just to monitor it. Bought it when it was around 400 bucks just to see where it's gone. Palantir took off today, and again we were up almost $1,000 on it, even though it only moved 70 cents because we have 1,200 shares. As well as we bought a lot of, and we're down on these things still. Like, I mean, my average cost for Palantir, I've gotten it down because I've been buying shares. I got it down to about $11.32. So in another, $1.30, I'll be profitable, which I believe Palantir should be able to do when we finally get out of the bear market. But the question is this a rally? Are we out of the bear market? Are we starting a trend to go up? Because essentially we've had, you know, economic decrease in our GDP twice in the last. So because of that, we are in a recession. I mean, when you have a slowdown and GDP decreases 2 quarters in a row, that is the textbook definition of a recession. You can add other things in there if you want, but that is the textbook, easy peasy. Okay, this happened, recession. That's that. And honestly, there was a graph someone put up somewhere. That might have been Jeremy from Financial Education about how all of the um, basically financial analysts and things agree that we are in a recession, and that's a good thing because we're going up now. Because once the recession hits, the pain is over normally, unless you go into a depression, which is 4 quarters. And with the macroeconomic trends that are still going, I don't know that we're done with the pain. I mean, it's nice that all the multiples have consolidated, condensed, so we don't have such high multiples that we're paying for stocks right now. So that's nice. But we still have a lot of macroeconomic factors. The war in Ukraine's been going on for over 6 months. Supply chains are still messed up. Jobs are starting to be lost. People are starting to lose their jobs in big tech, and a lot of other places are starting to lay people off. Writing's on the wall there. You're gonna see a lot of jobs, get tossed. There's gonna be cutting of quote trimming of fat. I don't like that term, but that's what they use. And because there was an abundance of money, it was easy to get, and so they decided they would hire. And then once the tightening cycle started with the Fed, that they would cut because it's not as easy to borrow money anymore. So that's when they would cut, costs. And that's usually how businesses work. So if you have a job and you're worried about your job, I would highly suggest that you find multiple sources of income. I myself have just my job, and I used to have a side business that I no longer have because of COVID. But I do tend to try and find odd jobs or things, whether it be driving for Uber or, DoorDash, something, anything you can do to make yourself some extra money in times like these to sock away or add to your portfolio while everything's down substantially, or just make sure you have a reserve fund for 6 to 12 months at times like this. Those are the things you want to do to prepare yourself financially. So there's that. Planet 13 up today. It was up a lot more earlier. Not bad. This UPath is another company that I'll dive into when I am able to do that. So if you're with me and you've been watching these videos, coming up in the next, I don't know, month or two, I will have a lot more free time and I will be doing a lot more of these podcasts. So bear with me while I just work on some stuff, and I will definitely be updating you, maybe not every day, but multiple times a week because I will have the time to do it, and I'm excited for that. So with that, yeah, that's basically the update on the portfolio. I mean, all the indices were up today, the S&P, the Dow, all of them. And if you look now, we can take a look at the futures. They're all slightly down, but that can change because it's only 7:30. So by tomorrow morning, these could be green. Again, they're so like insignificantly down right now that it's basically like they're flat. But yeah, here's hoping you had a green day too. Couple green days this week, and I hope it continues. But I do believe that we are going to be watching a very, I don't know. This could be a week or two, or even most of a month, where we see some green prices. But I don't think we're out of the woods yet. I think we may still see some more pain in the markets. And I'm not the only one. And there's a lot of stories out there that would tend to agree with me. So like this was like written today about how we had all these tech stocks and like those micro stocks and risk on day for sure, gaining momentum. The S&P's up, everything's up. This is basically telling you like here's the winners. Unitysoft U that I told you guys about that I own, Coinbase that I also own I told you about, and Shopify were all up big. And this is all happening due to, and they're saying Netflix's earnings, which that's not the story. Here it is. Okay. Netflix was projected to lose 2 million subscribers and they lost less than 1 million subscribers. And now they're estimating that they are going to grow by about 1 million subscribers next quarter, because next quarter is when people are going to start buying their Netflix back. Like maybe they canceled it for the summer. So summer's over. They start buying their Netflix so they can, hunker down in the wintertime and watch some TV. Um, Maybe. I don't know. But it's still slower growth than they're accustomed to. So the slow growth is not a good idea. Joseph Carlson actually iterated all these points in his show today. and they I honestly bet against Netflix to beat the I had a put on Netflix thinking that they would go down when they released it. Oh, we lost more than 2 million subscribers, or their guidance wasn't good, but they pulled one out and they got there. So that cost me, I did a very safe trade. I did, the put debit spread, put credit spread, that kind of thing. Where I bought like $197 put and sold the 192.5 put, to, hedge my costs in case it did go the wrong way. And then I sold out of it this morning because earnings were yesterday and I knew I lost. I projected the wrong way. And I figured everything had been so beaten. It makes sense in hindsight that Netflix had been so beaten down from like the almost $700 that it was down to like the hundred and some odd dollar range, that even if they didn't beat earnings projections, that they might go up just based on like they're so far down. Though any time that we've had earnings recently in the last couple quarters, you've seen like you could have stellar earnings and you're still going to get crushed. So I figured we weren't out of that yet, but this is different. Maybe things are turning. I can't tell you that. I don't think they're turning for long. I think this is a nice little, you know, post numbers rally of like everyone thinks that okay, maybe the Fed won't raise it a whole basis point. Maybe they'll raise it 75. Maybe I don't know. I can't tell you. That's anyone who says they can predict the future, they can't. So there's only two things that are certain: it's death and taxes. Everything else is just gravy. And so this was another story that I found interesting was that Berkshire Hathaway shares up over $400,000, and the reason why is essentially a FINRA rule for reporting partial share buys, where it's the roundup rule, and essentially between people buying such small amounts of shares on places like Robinhood and things, they rounded up enough where there's thousands or hundreds of thousands of phantom shares that are, sold but weren't sold because they bought a partial share and just rounded up. And this rule is being adjusted, I believe. But right now, that's why all these things are inflated in such a way, or they were inflated in such a way that it did a lot of weird shit to the market. And you may see some repercussions from this, depending on how it's fixed and when. And this is another thing that Biden went over to Saudi Arabia to try and get oil, the Saudis to get the US more oil so we could reduce costs because everything ships on diesel or gasoline. Like those are the fuels that big rigs use. Those are the fuels that everything that transports uses. And so that cost goes right to consumers because no one's going to lose money. Damn it, especially during an inflationary cycle. So what happens here now is he went over there and he's like, "Hey, can you guys make us more oil, like get us more oil?" And they said, "No, no, we can't because screw you guys. I'm going home and I'm taking my oil with me." Um, and so oil is still over $100 a barrel. Could go up higher, and the clear and smart decision would be to unleash the US economy by unleashing oil that we have in places like the Gulf, in places like Alaska, in places like the Midwest. There's so much underneath United States soil that could be drilled that we're not drilling because of policies made by administrations. And politics aside, if you got rid of those policies, you wouldn't see gas at $4+ You wouldn't see gas. Hell, you might not even see gas at $3+ because we'd have so much in abundance and we'd have the infrastructure to put it anywhere. But that's not what they did because green initiatives trump your pocketbook. That's the short of it. They want the pain is the point because they want green. And I'm all for, conservation. I'm all for making sure that there's a future. I'm all for making sure that, trees stay. I'm not for the expense of average Joe increasing 50 to 100% over the course of a year because you have these policies that are designed to handicap us in such a quick fashion. That's not okay. And I don't think that anyone in power thinks these things through when they do it. I think it's more of a, oh, this is going to sound really good and this is a talking point. And so it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. It's not good for the average consumer. It's not good for business, and that handicaps us, and you don't want that. So that's my 2 cents on that anyway. Uh, the last thing I wanted to talk about today is crypto, which shot up dramatically. I mean, we were under $20,000 of Bitcoin. We got over 24,000, and now we're in the $23,000 range. Ethereum's at 1,500 when it was dabbling down in that 900 range, and Cardano's at 49. It was up at 52, but it's been down as low as in the 30s. So cryptos have started to come back, and I think that's why Coinbase shot up today. We are a little bit negative right now, but long term, I believe in at least those three coins, those three cryptos will do very nicely. Um, Full disclosure, I do own a little bit of all of those, and I will continue to own those. So, yeah, all in all, so far so good this week, and hopefully it continues. I do have more content coming, so I thank you for everyone who watches, and we will be getting a lot more out to you. I still have the Greeks episode that I have to release for the stock uh, the options course, and that's still going. I'm still working on that. Still, working on the recording of that. So bear with me while I get these things out. And again, in another month or so, I'll have plenty of time to do all this, and it'll be fun. So thanks for sticking with me so far, and trade well and be safe.